Our story begins with a simple mark, a footprint in wet sand, destined to become a road, then an empire. Long before written history, families journeyed out of Africa, following the herds into a wider world. They settled in the fertile cradles of river valleys like the Nile and the Tigris, learning to plant, to store, and to stay. From this permanence, cities emerged. In a place like as oil lamps flickered, a scribe could press marks into damp clay, turning taxes into memory and binding strangers together with the new tools of writing, law, and bureaucracy. Soon, these cities began to reach for one another. At a crowded port, sails snapped in the monsoon winds, ready to surf the Indian Ocean. Caravans threaded the Silk Roads, and camel trains navigated the Sahara's vastness. These networks stitched distant peoples into a single interconnected world. Goods, stories, and beliefs traveled with the merchants and missionaries. But connection had a darker side, as unseen plagues moved with equal ease, linking feast to famine and prosperity to peril. In a shaded courtyard, a teacher's whisper could reshape a civilization. From the Indian subcontinent, Hindu traditions organized life around duty and the great cycle of existence, while Buddhism offered a path away from suffering. In ancient China, Confucianism trained officials to bind the virtues of the family to the stability of the state, creating a bureaucracy that would endure for millennia. And across the arid lands of the Middle East, another family of faiths emerged. Judaism anchored a people to a covenant, Christianity spread a message of universal salvation, and Islam united prayer and power into a vast community of believers. Our modern world, its borders, courts, and debates on identity, still echoes with the power of these ancient ideas. To manage these sprawling worlds, new systems of power were forged. Persian couriers raced across networks of royal roads. Roman engineers paved continents to move legions and commerce. In West Africa, wealthy kingdoms married gold to scholarship, sending caravans of goods and ideas across the desert. By the early 16th century, the world was a tapestry of thriving, long-distance networks poised to be woven together into something truly planetary. The age when oceans were barriers was coming to an end. Then, at first light on a heaving deck, the world changed forever. A sailor bites a sour orange, the sting of tar and salt in the air. In his pouch, he carries not just folded notes, but the seeds of a new global reality. Potatoes and peppers travel east. Horses, silver, and smallpox move west, remaking diets, economies, and entire populations in the Great Columbian Exchange. This exchange of goods sparked an exchange of ideas. Telescopes probed the heavens, and printing presses spread radical notions of reason and human rights. The scientific revolution and the Enlightenment ignited debates that would fuel the coming age. Coal and steam provided the engine for that new age. Industrialization pulled millions from farms into cities of brick and smoke. Revolutions toppled kings, declaring that people were citizens, not subjects, and rewriting the rules of who could vote, speak, and assemble. But as railways and telegraph cables bound the globe ever tighter, new lines were being drawn. Empires expanded, nationalism hardened borders, and 2 world wars scarred the maps of the 20th century, followed by a global standoff that drew lines of fear. In the wake of empires, new voices rose, demanding self-determination and redrawing the atlas once more. Today, we live in the result of these intertwined histories. Communication technology shrinks distance to nothing, while global supply chains interlock our fates. A distant outbreak can make your phone ping within hours. A storm on one continent can raise prices on another. We are more connected than ever, yet we still argue using the ancient vocabulary of faith, identity, and justice. The story of our world is one of ever-deepening connection, a constant negotiation between the paths that bring us together and the walls we build to keep us apart.